situations.
So both players are actually shuffling up, as we can see here, between Jimmy Pendarvis and Tord Reklev. Remember, Jimmy Pendarvis is a world-class player of his own right. He's been around forever. He is a veteran in the game, but he's recently just become a dominant force in the game, like very few people have ever been.
Yeah, we see the opening roll. Looks like Tord is going to be able to go first here. Pretty important in a Zoroark matchup. You want to be the one to get those Zoroarks down as early as turn 2.
You know, Jimmy is a key member in the North American contingent. Such a powerful group of players. Of course, Igor Costa, one of his close friends, and
Housemate.
Yeah, Azul Garcia Grego, one of the greatest players in the game today. For a while, considered the best player in the game, and of course, other similar players of similar stature in this game. Just a powerhouse team, and to see them perform so well time and time again, it's no surprise to see Jimmy here in the top 4.
Yeah, they always seem to have an interesting addition to whatever the main deck is of the time. They'll add some extra cards to it, or take away something that you would have considered integral, and they just make it work. And over on Tord's side, he does the same thing over in Europe. He always brings something just a little bit wacky than what you were expecting, and it's always enough to get there.
Now that we see these players setting up and shuffling up, I know before we started casting this match, you told me that you feel like Tord is just a super heavy favorite in this matchup based on the energy denial plan that he's got going for him.
Yeah, no, I think that stays true. He's got so many different ways to remove energies from the board, and he can also, he has max potion, he has ways to remove all of the damage that Jimmy's going to be doing as well, because Jimmy is going to have a hard time finding those one-hit knockouts. They're just not going to come over on Tord's side of the board.
Now, what kind of a game do we have to see in order for us to see Jimmy come out victorious here against Tord?
I want to see aggression. I want to see Golisopod get in there, and we're probably going to have to see crossing cut onto a Tapu Lele. He's going to have to find ways where he steals big knockouts that Tord wasn't expecting.
We see players bring down their prizes already as Tord shows that he gets a Zorua and a Mew EX onto his prizes, but nothing too crazy. Now, oh, I'm sorry, that was actually Jimmy, and it's Tord here that's showing even better prizes himself.
Yeah, pricing weakness policy. It's not going to come into play here, so not too big a deal.
All right, looks like we start things off with Tord Reklev starting things off here.
Yeah, he starts his favorite Pokemon, Tapu Lele. He likes to play 4 in almost every deck that he has ever played. I think he's only going with 3 this time, but he's got that Ultra Ball to start him off, and I think he's going to go find another.
All right, Tord playing an Ultra Ball here to start things off. Likely finding another Tapu Lele here, and Tapu Lele Wonder tagging in a Bridget would not be a very surprising play.
Yep, Tord's just going to make sure that he gets all his counts on this opening search that he has here. Wants to make sure nothing too crazy is prized. Get those Zoruas into play so that you can start getting those trades going.
Tord's still looking through his deck. Of course, on the first turn of the game, you do want to kind of get a better idea of what your prizes look like. I think after looking through his deck a few times, he's going to be very comfortable with what's left in his deck.
For sure, Tapu Lele comes down, Bridget, 3 Zorua. He has Zoroark and Evo Soda in his hand as well, so already going to be able to put down those Zoroarks into play as soon as turn 2.
Yeah, not a difficult decision here for Tord. Once he does find that Bridget, immediately finds the triple Zorua to come with him. Now, that's already a powerful turn. Is he looking to do anything additionally here?
He has no energy to play, but I don't think we'd even see an energy come down if he had it. It's something that you want to hold on to until you're about to get an attack off in a matchup like this. You don't want to give Jimmy any value out of Enhanced Hammer just out of the gate there.
Right. If you are going to play as many items as Tord's playing, you're going to be skimping out on certain things. And Pokemon isn't the only thing he's skimping out on. He also only plays, double colorless energy as his energies. So every energy is just very important, and he wants to make sure that he maximizes the output that they provide him.
So just
Triple
going
Zorua.
to see this nice standard setup. We'll fully expect all of this from Tord, and it's going to be on Jimmy to match this.
What a consistent deck Tord's got as he passes the turn. Jimmy Pendarvis now, his first turn of the game, first turn of the match. Remember, this is the top 4, Kyle. So much pressure on both of these players, regardless of how many times you've been there. You know you've got to feel that pressure.
Yeah, and yet they both seem like they've got ice in their veins. They're just playing it like any other game, just any other opponent sitting across from you. No, these are two high up class players, and Jimmy already grabbing the Wimpod. It looks like he's going to start working on that strategy as well.
Yeah, it looked like he was just looking for the 3 Pokemon he was going to find with Bridget, and so he just kind of shortcutted there. Put the 3 Pokemon he was going to find with Bridget on the bottom of his deck, then looked for Lele, which looked for Bridget, and now we see all 4 Pokemon on the bench here for Jimmy. Triple Zorua with a Wimpod to go with it.
Yeah, Wimpod is going to be pretty important with all the energy denial that Tord has in his deck. Grass energies on Golisopod are going to be difficult to remove. So if he does bring up Golisopod and start using that as a main attacker, we could definitely see that become pretty effective.
Both of these players both of these decks not known for their explosive turn 1s, but it's turn 2 that you really have to start fearing from these decks is once you get, your little mini army of Zoroarks, you're able to just draw into so much of your deck that you're almost assured to see the energies you need to be able to draw, to be able to put pressure on your opponent.
Yeah, Jimmy's hand does not look nearly as explosive as Tord's hand. Tord is, I believe, holding on to double Evo Soda Zoroark. So he's going to draw all the cards and be in a very favorable spot.
All right. This happens pretty often in the Pokemon trading card game where, our accessories get battle damage on them.
Massacred.
And we're forced to replace the sleeves. Sure enough, that is what's happening here with Jimmy. And I'm assuming we're going to see a very powerful turn here from Tord, and we may see the first prize of the game taken by Tord before too much longer.
No, absolutely. That's definitely something that could happen. He's honestly just a Guzma and a DCE away, a Floatstone and a DCE away, and this is before he even gets to draw all 6 cards with trade.
Another sleeve rip. It happens. What can you say?
Jimmy is just too strong. Yeah,
he's been working out.
Yeah, we're gonna invent a sleeve that's bulky enough for Jimmy to handle.
Both of these players having a good little chuckle about it, or at least one of these players is having a good chuckle about it, as they do have to replace the second sleeve. Now, I agree with you that Jimmy's gonna have to be the aggressor here, as the late game is just obviously gonna favor the player who has resource management available to him, and just so many ways of getting rid of the very few energy that Jimmy does play. Now, with that said, anytime Jimmy plays double puzzle at a time, he's going to want to maximize the number of attacks he'll be able to get out of that double puzzle at a time. If you have to double puzzle at a time for something like, say, Acerola or something like that, then you may not be able to squeeze out the 6 prizes you need.
Yeah, and those puzzles might just have to be dedicated to grabbing energies back in a matchup like this.
Exactly. All right.
Looks like Jimmy's turn's finally done.
Double checking. All right. A little time's been.
He's got 2 double colorless. He's ready.
Okay, so do 2 double colors, but we do see that Evo Soda too. First Evo Soda played. Does he have the double Evo Soda with the Zoroark you were talking about? I guess we'll find out soon.
Just gonna take a peek through. He's gonna be able to see 6 cards. So Guzma or Floatstone will be able to get him this opening knockout. We'll really see what his strategy is here. Does he want to just remove the Wimpod so that the only attacker is Zoroark? Zoroark's very easily countered by his deck with all the special energy denial and max potion that he plays. So he may just go straight after the Wimpod, or you could just remove the draw engine of Jimmy's deck.
We saw Tord look through his deck a couple of times and then put one of the Zoroarks on the bottom of the deck because he knew he was going to find it with the Evo Soda that he just played. So that's 2 Evo Sodas down, 2 Zoroarks in play, and we barely started Tord's second turn here.
This is the most Tord thing you are going to see all tournament. He does this all the time, finding those Zoroarks. They just seem to fall into his hand every time he plays a game.
Imagine how great you would feel if you got to do this for 2 days straight. Just, triple Zoroark, no big deal. Cloud9 right there, I'll tell you that. Tord Reklev now getting his first trade of the game. Second trade now.
Yeah, finds himself double N, so still doesn't have it. Looking for Floatstone or Guzma.
Well, that's all 3 trades gone. Does he have a Floatstone or a Guzma? I don't think I saw either.
Looks like he has Cynthia in his hand. He could just attach double colorless to his Zoroark, Cynthia, and try to find a Floatstone. if he doesn't seem to think that that's going to be too likely, we could just see him attach and pass, or just pass, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think playing Cynthia makes sense here.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you draw it, it's a huge swing. You're able to remove the Zorua from play.
All you need to do is find a floatstone here if you're Tord. That's it. You know, how difficult can that be?
He plays one, so
How difficult can it be, Kyle?
for Tord, not very difficult.
All right, one floatstone in the entire deck. Can he find it off this 6-card Cynthia? This is the first big moment of the game. It could prove to be a very momentum-shifting turn, and he does not find it.
Yeah, finds 3 Ultra Ball and an Evo Soda. All the Pokemon on his field are already evolved, so not going to get any use out of those cards. Going to be a lot of trade fodder.
Yeah, he definitely knows what he's going to be trading away. But in the meantime, Jimmy Pendarvis now starting his second turn. Will he be able to have the type of explosion Tord just had? Well, that's one Zoroark in play.
Yeah.
1/3 of the way there.
Definitely a good start for him. Unfortunately, there are no knockouts available for him unless he feels the need to target down a Rangaroo just this early. He's probably just going to be attacking into some of these Pokemon. Max Potion.
Max Potion traded away.
Pretty important card, but Jimmy just kind of has all those cards that he wants in the mid stage of the game. Looks like he has some puzzle pieces and a Sycamore option.
Yeah, he has a double color synergy with a couple of puzzle pieces. But it's not going to be a knockout. However, 100 damage onto a Tapu Lele is not irrelevant as we see the first bit of damage dealt from either player in this match.
Tord already holding on to double puzzle of himself. He is in a pretty good spot here. Gets to do 3 trades.
Trade number 1.
Going to be looking for Acerola most likely. If he plays that card. I think he does have one.
Finds a Mallow, but choosing to just trade it one more time. Finds a Delinquent with that.
Yeah, I think Acerola was the other card tucked in with that Delinquent. So
Okay.
pretty nice find for him. Going to be able to pick up the Tapu Lele that's damaged.
Good eyes, as that was Acerola right beneath the Delinquent. He has an Evo Soda that he can get rid of. Absolutely not helping his cause here.
Yeah, he could also have his eyes on a Guzma if he was able to find that. Maybe he's got a decision to make. Does find Guzma here, so we could really find a lot about Tord's strategy in this game. Does he really want to just target down Zoruas, Wimpods, or is he just looking to have this battle of attrition, use this Acerola?
Looks like he's going for the Acerola. Can't really blame him. Doesn't want to give Jimmy the easy prizes that he kind of craves, right? Like if you're Jimmy, you're craving easy prizes. You're craving putting yourself down to 2 prizes remaining while Tord still is struggling to get rid of your energy on the field. So an Acerola does kind of help out Tord's long-term game plan out, who is absolutely trying to extend this game as much as possible.
Yeah, any turn that Tord does not use Acerola or Max Potion on a Pokemon, fully expect Jimmy to be targeting it down, because that's pretty much the only way that he gets to stay in this game is just by stealing away all those prize cards.
With that said, it's not like he has too many of them, so Jimmy's early aggression is definitely looking to pay off here. While he still has to kind of make sure that he doesn't give up these early prizes from Tord either, because that losing your double colorless energy is the natural way, by getting knocked out.
Yeah.
That's even more painful than losing them through Team Flare Grunt.
Yeah, that hurts. And Jimmy does not get to do very much here, just 100 damage. He's still in range of being knocked out just by a Choice Band here on the Zoroark, so pretty unfortunate for him. He hasn't been able to do very much.
Turn 3, and he still only has one Zoroark in play before attacking. Now Tord, obviously a much, much better field here for Tord.
Yeah, he's holding on to Max Potion in his hand, has double puzzle of time, so definitely expect him to be able to get whatever he needs here.
Has the double colorless energy to make up for that Max Potion.
Going into the second trade here, probably doesn't need that N.
Does he have a Field Blower in hand?
Just checking the discard pile. It looks like he does have a Field Blower in the discard pile if he really values that. That is one way to get to the amount of damage that you need. Also, Delinquent is a way to remove that Parallel City.
I like Delinquent a little better than Field Blower.
Yeah, seems like a pretty nice way. get to remove some cards out of Jimmy's hand, and Jimmy has been holding on to some puzzle pieces and whatnot. He's going to actually have to throw it away.
Puzzle, Golisopod, and another card go down, as well as the Parallel City. So now a couple of Pokemon away from getting his first knockout here is Tord.
Yep, plays his Parallel City of his own. Going to use Tapu Lele and look through his deck. Doesn't really need a supporter card. I think he only has like 2 left in there.
Yeah, his deck's down to like 15 cards already, and it's only turn 4.
He's got a Sycamore and 2 Guzmas in there. And
how powerful is triple trade, man?
It's not bad.
All right, finds a Sycamore with that Tapu Lele's Wonder Tag. Ultra Ball.
This is going for the Tapu Lele. It's going to be able to get him to that 5th bench spot that he needs. And that's going to be 120 damage with Riotous Beating.
Yep, finds Tapu Lele, which finds Guzma. Could definitely be an important card here in the next few turns. But more importantly, he has a full bench, which means Zoroark, the one Zoroark in Jimmy's field, is going to be knocked out by the end of this turn.
Yeah, where do you go from there?
Well, straight to game 2 if you can't find another Zoroark. All right.
So Tord does still have the option if he wants to use Max Potion and then play the double colorless energy in his hand. Leaves himself with a clean field. Everything is looking to go towards Wade here. Also has those double puzzle time in his hand, so we'll have that available to him in the future turns. Also saw the last 2 pieces of puzzle time in his deck, so going to get the full use out of that this game.
Knockout here from Tord. Jimmy Pendarvis loses the first Pokemon of the game here, as Tord does go to 4 prizes against Jimmy 6 in this first game of the top 4 match between Tord Reklev and Jimmy Pendarvis.
If Jimmy doesn't have anything to do, I think he only has 3 cards in his hand, Delinquent could basically just seal this out. So hoping to see something this turn.
Jimmy looking through his discard pile?
Yeah, it looks like he has...
Wow, he had double puzzle now.
Yep, so this is going to be Evo Soda for Zoroark, then Tapu Lele is going to search out for N, and he's going to shuffle the other puzzle piece back into his deck, and then he's going to start using trades, try to get back onto the board.
I can respect that play, and sure enough, Jimmy now playing an N, shuffling back the single card in his hand, which was a puzzle at time, into his deck, drawing 6 new cards. Toward going down to 4 cards in hand. He had a world of options, and they're all gone back into the deck. But keep in mind, Tord's triple trade will basically fill that hand right back up.
Yeah, he's only got 20 cards in there, so he's definitely going to find all of those right back very soon.
Just stoic is Tord. There's no real other way to describe it right now. Nothing phases him right now. He knows he's in the driver's seat. Jimmy not only had to be the aggressor in this matchup, but has fallen behind.
Yeah, he found double colorless energy, so he can at least get a little bit of damage. That Parallel City is providing a pretty big distraction, though. Only 80 damage. Starts to get awkward.
Trades away Cynthia, draws 2 cards, does not have another Zoroark.
He's finding awkward pieces of his deck. He's got to keep going, though. He's got that double colorless energy, so.
Yeah, he can only really muster up a double colorless energy to deal 80 damage onto towards Zoroark. Not enough. But, I mean, remember, if Tord does play Enhanced Hammer, which he has in hand, like, how often can Jimmy keep doing this? Remember, we said his puzzle at times needed to be for more energies.
that was 2 Enhanced Hammer that he found off of that trade. So I think he's in a pretty good spot here. Going to be able to remove the energies off of Jimmy's side of the board.
Yeah, just so important here.
I mean, we're almost...
Finds double puzzle in time.
Yeah, that's
okay,
exactly what you want to find if you're Tord. He's even at a spot where if he wanted to, he could use Enhanced Hammer on the active Zoroark. He could Ace Arola with the double puzzle and start using resource management if he wanted to. He's really not in any danger. If he wanted to just flood his deck with a bunch of resources, he could certainly do that.
Tord is not a man. He is a machine, Kyle, I tell you. That is just unbelievable how dominant he is in this game. Just kind of like taking every option away from Jimmy Pendarvis before he even has it available to him.
Yeah, now we're just going to see if Tord decides to go aggressive here. He has that option. to slow it down. Jimmy's already playing pretty slow, so you could play slow a little better than him, or you can just keep the pace going.
Double puzzle of time finds Ace Rolla and a double colorless energy.
Looked like he eyed up those 3 cards, so potentially going to go with that Oranguru route.
Ace Rolla now played. Zoroark back up to the hand.
Oh, okay.
New Zoroark hits the active position.
No, this is completely fine too. 120 damage into the Zoroark. You can just keep your foot on the pedal.
Yeah, I don't think it's resource management time yet. I think you actually can just flat out win the old-fashioned way right now. So why not just keep putting Jimmy in uncomfortable positions where he has to just choose between, Jimmy's between a rock and a hard place right now, and he's just got to find a way out of this. And the tighter Tord pushes against Jimmy here, the more difficult it becomes for Jimmy to kind of squirm out of it. And Floatstone played onto Zoroark. Countercatcher as well. Countercatcher finding a Zorua to become the active Pokemon. And now an end. Jimmy draws 6, Tord draws 4.
Yeah, this is one way for Jimmy to get back in. If Tord doesn't have the trade available, that's one less trade down if he finds double colorless energy to knock out this Zorua. And maybe Tord actually does start to draw dead off of some ends in the future.
The tension is high. Will Jimmy be able to find what he needs to bring himself right back into this game?
Well, 6 cards and a few trades certainly help.
Has Mewtwo, has Golisopod, has Ultra Ball hitting the discard pile. Trade number 1. Trade number 2, a second Ultra Ball. Golisopod now.
Looks like he's just going to take that knockout. This also leaves an opening for Tord because that Zoroark is so easily knocked out on the bench. We could see Tord starting to take a few more prizes and only be at 2 prize cards left.
Oranguru time, at least for now.
until he draws Guzma. Well, he's got 2 trades available, no Guzma just yet. This actually could be resource management.
I think Tord's okay with doing having a resource management turn, but he's also perfectly okay with drawing into a Guzma and knocking out the Zoroark,
Yeah, no, that would work out just fine. He's gonna see what he draws and then adjust from there. Has Mallow in his hand, so if his first trade doesn't go his way, maybe he decides to go a different route.
Wow.
Those are good cards.
Just wow.
I can't see Tord's face, but his hand immediately shot up to his face. I would have to imagine he's holding in a chuckle as he sees those cards.
Oh, man. I know my parents always told me not to let the green-eyed monster take over me, but I'm telling you.
Hey, greedy is nice, especially when it gets you these prize cards.
All right, Zorua now. Another Pokemon benched here for Tord. He really wants to see that third Zoroark.
Well, Tord has a decision to make. Does he use these double puzzles to maybe find Enhanced Hammer and just make it that much harder for Jimmy to attack into him this turn? Or is he going to hold on to those and just be content with these 2 prize cards?
Beautiful little Guzma there. The Guzma does promote Jimmy's damaged Zoroark, and 120 damage onto that Zoroark means Tord is now 2 prizes away from taking this first game in this top 4 matchup.
And he just found a max potion out of his prize cards too. So any damage that Jimmy is going to be able to do could immediately be nullified if he doesn't have an end to go along with this turn. Just seems like Jimmy just hasn't had nearly as many options as Tord.
Jimmy has just been struggling so hard to get anything going here. A lot of it has to do with just the early turns here from Tord just were too consistent for Jimmy's unusually bad hand. Having only a single Zoroark by like turn 4 is just not something you expect for your deck to do for you in such a pivotal matchup. But keep in mind, this is still only game 1. You have to win 2 out of 3 games in order to advance to the finals. So not all hope is lost for Jimmy here.
Yeah, even if Jimmy isn't able to come out on top, he's going to get a lot of information. If he didn't already know all the cards in Tord's deck, he's probably going to see them all by the end of this game. And it's also nice to just see how your opponent goes about this matchup. You might be able to come up with a secondary strategy.
Yeah, every minute counts when you're thinking about what you have to do, when you have to think on the fly, of course, since there is a time limit that you have to adhere to. And sometimes the strategies just are not so obvious. Every matchup seems to be, at least a little bit different. And this pseudo mirror match between the two Zoroark decks just proves exactly what we mean. Field Blower gets rid of the Parallel City. And now Jimmy immediately plays a Parallel City of his own. Enhance Hammer. Lots of items here in Jimmy's hand get played for maximum effect.
Yeah, this means that Tord's limited to only 80 damage going into these turns. 80 damage for Jimmy as well, though.
And remember, Tord only has a 3-card hand.
His hand is Guzma, DCE, and Enhance Hammer.
Oh.
That's
Is that all?
I don't even know what you trade.
Do you trade? Yeah, you probably trade away the
Enhance
Hammer.
I think he's going to be fine with it.
All right. Enhance Hammer gone. The tough decisions have been made. Much easier decisions from here on out. Or at least you would think so, as he draws 2 other relevant cards.
Yeah, he could use Field Blower on the Parallel City, rescue Stretcher a Tapu Lele, and then maybe find a supporter that he wants to use other than Guzma.
Instead, he trades away that Field Blower. That's 2 trades now.
Rescue Stretcher is going to probably try to find Zoroark. Yeah, Zoroark's in there, so that's 1 more trade for him.
All right. He has access to 1 more trade if he wants it. And of course he wants it.
I want it.
Tapu Lele gone.
All right, so he's got 1 puzzle piece. It looks like he's probably just going to get some chip damage on a Pokemon here. Could go after the Golisopod that would negate any first impression potential damage, or could just work on a Tapu Lele, being that it has less hit points.
Guzma brings up a Golisopod.
Oh, it's resource management time.
Giving the crowd what they want. All right, Oranguru, resource management to the maximum.
Yep, he has so many cards that would be nice to shuffle back into his deck. Really just puzzle, energy. Yeah, those work.
Yep. Always the first targets that you go for, or I shouldn't say always, but 90% of the time, these are the first cards that you try to get. Double Color Synergy and your double puzzle at a time. Just kind of want to fill the rest of your deck up with just nothing but the best cards in your deck.
Yep, double colorless energy means that you can resource management as much as you need. Double puzzle turns into any 2 cards in your discard pile. So if you need Ace Arola, if you need a max potion, he's got you.
Jimmy showing his discard pile to Tord as he starts his turn. You know your opponent's been shuffling in resources. You can't just let him do that without paying some sort of a cost.
Jimmy is going to be trying to find some way to do relevant damage here. Currently doing 10 damage with first impression. So
this is a desperation Sycamore here for Jimmy as his deck is running really, really low. Something like 5 cards now.
Found double colorless energy, so he has ways to remove Oranguru.
Yeah, he can definitely knock out the Oranguru, but I mean, at what cost? Your opponent's obviously already managed his resources that he needs. He has triple Zoroark in play. He's gonna be able to trade like crazy. Obviously, you expect to see things like Enhance Hammer, etc. Is that gonna be enough? I mean, what other choice does Jimmy have?
I'm not sure. He can either take this knockout or try to hold on. He's got Counter Catcher, so if he wants to go after the Zoroark that's damaged, he has that option as well. But it looks like he's going to use Crossing Cut GX and remove this Oranguru from the field.
Crossing Cut GX is the GX attack of choice here for Jimmy Pendarvis as he now takes 2 prizes, or a prize, and goes to 2 prizes, having 2 prizes taken.
Tord just going to do a little count, make sure nothing wild happens here.
All right, you stopped your opponent from being able to manage his resources from here on out, at least for the time being. An N gets discarded here from Tord. It's 1 trade. Zoroark, second trade. Looking for another puzzle at a time, looking for the enhanced hammer he just found.
Yeah, he's got the enhanced hammer. One more puzzle could basically put him in a dominant spot here.
Another
Does find
puzzle at
it.
a time. So now you can actually just basically get rid of all the energy on Jimmy's field, with the exception of the grass. If you want to do that, I mean, really, you have so many options available to you. Double puzzle was exactly what Tord wanted here to almost lock the game up.
All right, so he can go enhanced hammer, remove this energy, double puzzle, grab Oranguru and enhanced hammer, Guzma to bring up Zoroark or Tapu Lele, and then start resource managing again with the double colorless energy that's already in his hand.
Put your opponent in a position where all he's going to have left is grass energies. Is I believe Jimmy has exactly 2 puzzle at times left in his deck.
Yeah, I think he's holding on to. I think he might actually have them in hand.
Okay.
I saw them shuffling around in his hand.
Max potion from Tord.
So now it's up to Tord. He can make the decision to either go into Oranguru with this puzzle, or he can split it, go with an enhanced hammer, and attack into the Tapu Lele. He is only 2 prizes away from winning this game.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. He's actually choosing not to get an enhanced hammer, by the way, so
Yeah,
maybe he doesn't fear that Golisopod as much as we do.
Yeah, right now Golisopod actually just doesn't knock out Oranguru because of the way the Parallel City is pointed, so he's not threatened by that. And we probably are going to see just Guzma onto the Zoroark. Oh, look at that. He's thinking of bringing up Golisopod right now.
Well then. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about first impression if it's already active. And he could just resource management, get some nice cards in there, and grab the enhanced hammer in the following turn. There's no real threat.
So now Tord looking. Of course, I expect to see maybe double puzzle with another double colors. There it is. Double puzzle with double colors with only 6 cards left in your deck and triple trade available to you.
Yeah, this is the spot that he wants to be in.
The dream.
Just deciding which order he wants the cards to end up in on the bottom of his deck. He's considering having. Okay, he's going to go with the double puzzle on the bottom.
Okay. So double colors
Or
will
on
be
the
first.
top, excuse me.
Well, double colors will be the last card he draws into.
Yeah.
Jimmy Pendarvis starts his own turn now. He has a delinquent in hand.
Yeah, that actually gets pretty tricky.
Yeah. Okay, let's see how many cards Tord had in his hand. He only had 3, more or less. And okay, so no cards in hand and only 6 cards left in deck. But you cannot knock out this Oranguru. Double puzzle at a time. Maybe you can.
He would be eyeing up potentially some Pokemon so that Zoroark could come into attack with Riotous Beating.
I mean, this is basically a chess match at this point where pretty much all the information is out in the open here for Jimmy, and he has essentially perfect information with the exception of the top of Tord's deck. But if Jimmy feels like he has an opening here and he sees it, then we'll definitely see him go for it.
Yep, I'm assuming that that last card in his hand is Wimpod. Yep, so he could go for Riotous Beating into Oranguru. And this puts Tord into an awkward spot. He's not going to want to...
He has the double colorless energy for that Riotous Beating, Kyle.
Yeah.
Oranguru goes down, only 6 cards left in Tord's deck and no cards in hand. Forced to trade away the double puzzle at a time, or the single puzzle at a time.
His deck is literally just puzzles and double colorless energy.
Kyle.
He's trying to figure out what's the best way to do this.
We know that the last card in his deck is a double colorless, so if he trades away a puzzle, he's going to get double puzzle. But can he afford to do so?
Well, let's see. If he ends up going with it, he could grab Oranguru with a Guzma and then resource management again. The problem is that if Jimmy is able to retreat, then he'll just get knocked out again and he'll have to try that all over.
I mean, Jimmy is just operating on perfect information, and Tord does not have the same. But Tord is only 2 prizes away. Can the 3-card deck / 2-card hand provide Tord with a victory?
He also can't play too low. He could just end himself and almost lose the game. He's going to pass.
Chooses not to play anything, including the double colors in his hand.
This plays into double puzzle time into Acerola to work out the Oranguru play. This means that you get to hold on to a
Jimmy
little bit more.
just deals 120 damage. Quote unquote just.
Yeah,
All right,
no
has
big
double
deal.
puzzle at time. He did not want to attach anything, maybe because he needs to hold on to all 3 cards to get his desired effect. Looks like he's going for Oranguru and maybe a float stone.
I was thinking Acerola potentially. He's going to
Guzma, of
actually go
course.
with Guzma, though.
Yeah. Of course, that makes some sense. There's the Guzma, brings up a Wimpod. Oh no, lots of retreat cost there. No hand for Tord. Only a 2-card deck. Jimmy Pendarvis on 3 prizes remaining. Tord still has 2.
He just has all the puzzles.
We know that the top card of Tord's deck is a puzzle. The bottom card is a double colorless.
Yep.
So if he goes puzzle, double colorless, triple puzzle, okay. That's the 5-card deck Tord's got to play with. Again, perfect information for Jimmy.
Jimmy needs to find a way out of the active spot. He's got 3 prizes left, so Zoroark is an easy way to take 2 of those if he does have access to Guzma. I do see cards like Grass Energy in his hand, so if he does have to retreat the old-fashioned way, that there is potential for that, but it would leave this Oranguru using resource management for a lot of different cards that Tord, you can't really give him that much time.
Tord has ran Jimmy out of so many resources. You have to believe that Jimmy's just super low on his own. Look at how thin Jimmy's deck is too. I mean, of course, Jimmy's going to be the first one to deck. There's no doubt about that one. But Enhance Hammer from Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy's
Just
going to pass
passes.
turn. All right, so Tord now can just use trade, discard the puzzle.
But if he trades, he's going to trade into a double colorless and a puzzle.
Yeah, and then
So
he
he's
can
going
just
to have to trade away the double colorless here.
he could just
Or actually
resource
trade away the-
management if he wants to. He might just be trying to build this back up. Because if he does go to that awkward stage of just 3 cards in deck, you might get into a spot where you could just like lose to an N or something. You just want to make sure that you have a decent amount of cards in your deck.
Sure.
Those are fine cards to have. Rescue Stretcher turns into 3 more cards, so that's a little extra room in his deck.
Looks like those are going to be the cards he chooses. Rescue Stretcher being the bottom card. Double Color Synergy, the middle card, and Puzzle of Time, the top one. Counter Catcher. Bring up that Zoroark that's got 120 damage on it and pass.
Yeah, just
Double Puzzle in hand for Tord. Of course, he's going to play it. No reason not to. Potentially Acerola here.
could go for that Acerola right now if he wants to. It also picks up 2 cards, so if he wanted to use those for trades in the future, he could. If he just wants more cards in the net of his deck and hand.
I actually would prefer to see an Enhanced Hammer here too from Tord. I think your opponent has shown that his hand is completely out of gas. Your opponent's got a very low deck. You win the game by locking him out of energies here.
Ends up grabbing Cynthia, and he's going to hold on to that.
Okay, so Acerola is up the Zoroark and holds onto it in his hand before resource managing double colorless and double puzzle at time into his deck.
Yeah, I think if Jimmy passes this turn, well, first he's out of cards, so that'll be it.
Wow. Okay. Oh, Jimmy Pendarvis decks out in game 1 between Tord, Reklev, and Jimmy Pendarvis. I mean, yeah, that's how long this game went. That's how intense it really got. As Jimmy did what he could, but I mean, of course, he ran out of resources, like we were talking about. Tord just slowly but surely said, "Your options are few, but they're going to become even less as every turn progresses."
Yeah, it got a little scary, honestly. Tord played his whole hand down, had what 4 cards in deck, 3 cards at times, and he still managed to just keep finding that Oranguru using resource management. And Jimmy just seemed to be a few cards off. If maybe he had one more Guzma, one more Floatstone, he could have made that an even closer match or game.
Yeah, we said the key to the game was going to be for for Jimmy to be able to use these double puzzle at times to be proactive with, right?
Yeah.
To find more double color synergies, so he makes it that much harder for Tord to be able to slow him down before he can take the 6 prizes. Instead, what we saw him do was play double puzzle at a time for, I believe, a supporter and another puzzle at a time. That's how poor this game worked out for Jimmy at the beginning of the game, as he was not proactive. He was forced to be the reactive player, and he just was not in a position to take all 6 prizes before he ran out of cards.
Yeah, now the amount of time that was taken to play that game, almost half of the series is gone. I think that actually kind of favors Jimmy a little bit. If Jimmy is able to win a game 2, his deck is a little more aggressive. It's got a little more attack power. So if they played it into a game 3, you'd have to think with only 5-10 minutes in a game 3 that Jimmy would be favored over Tord.
Yeah, especially because he has multiple attacking options. Stronger or a GX attack you can use. So definitely seems to be an advantage to Jimmy if you do go into that sudden death situation. But I mean, still, there's exactly half the time left in the round. So that was just such a long game 1, despite the fact that both players played, at a very reasonable pace.
Yeah. Jimmy now is just going to be eyeing up that classic start, something that he was missing. He was not able to get down multiple Zoroarks, so definitely wants to find that this game going first.
All right, both players playing their prizes down. We see a double color synergy for Jimmy, and really just a field blower and a couple of bridges for Tord.
2 ends as well. The handshake, and these players are underway.
He only has 1 Bridget left in his deck, so he's going to struggle to find a turn 1 bridge at will Tord, or at least you would think so mathematically.
Tapu Lele doesn't care about math.
Tord Tapu Lele doesn't care about math. All right, Ultra Ball, discarding another Ultra Ball and a Golisopod. Finding Jimmy the Tapu Lele, which is going to find him a Bridget. Triple Zorua. All right. Good start here for Jimmy, as he does go first in the second game.
Has that Wimp Pod starting. That means he could always use his ability Wimp out if he wanted to switch into a Zorua, potentially start eyeing up a turn 2 knockout with a Zoroark into a Zorua.
Jimmy still looking through his deck as he shuffles it, trying to find out what resources he will not have available to him until he starts taking surprises. Tord looks confident, but I have not taken a look at his hand. I don't know if he's got a turn 1 Bridget available to him.
He does have Ultra Ball in his hands. And
of course he's got Ultra Ball. Okay, there it is.
And he's Tord, so he's got double puzzle. So there are ways to do it. It may be a little more clunky than he's used to, but he's also got a Cynthia in there as well. So.
All right, Ultra Ball discarding a Mew EX and a Guzma. Looks through his deck, no doubt finding a Tapu Lele, mirroring Jimmy's play here. Or at least you can only assume he will be.
Just taking a look.
We may see all 4 Zoros in play by the end of this turn.
Yeah, I fully expect to see that. Especially with the potential for one of these Zoruas to be knocked out by Jimmy if Jimmy does have a nice supporter to go along with this pretty nice turn 1 he had.
Ford still looking through his deck, looking to see what cards are possibly prized. Tapu Lele, Wonder tags in a Bridget. Bridget tags in 3 Zoruas. Ford Reklev with all 4 Zoros in play by the end of his first turn.
Classic.
It's only a single Bridget in the deck. All right. Well, we will have a very consistent start from both of these players, assuming their hands do not fail to produce Zoroarks.
Yeah, definitely we know over on Tord's side that he will be able to find something. He does have that Cynthia double puzzle, so could definitely go find Ultra Ball if it gets to that point, or he could just use the Cynthia, try to find some Zoroarks of his own. Jimmy, we did not get to really see his hand too much, so I'm sure he'll let us know right now how he's feeling.
Parallel City gets rid of the Tapu Lele. Of course, not the Zorua. And an N here right after playing his first Zoroark.
Yeah, this is a pretty good start. He's got one Zoroark already in play. Going to be looking for multiple Zoroarks and a double colorless energy. A classic turn 2 out of Zoroark.
Yeah, and that Parallel City also doing quite a bit of work, stopping your opponent from being able to get 120 damage onto your Zoroark, forces him to find a field blower before he can 2 KO your Zoroark.
Yeah, maybe Tord needs to use Tapu Lele next turn, and he just won't have the bench space. Well, actually, if the Zoro is knocked out, he'd find it.
That does depend on Jimmy finding a double colorless.
Looks like
Did we find another Zoroark yet? Not yet. Evo Soda, there we go. Zoroark number 2. I mean, right away, it's a more consistent start than he had game 1.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a little more of a game on this turn. He's got, I believe I saw the double colorless MG in his hand as well.
Bridget discarded its trade number 2. Golisopod. That's 3 evolutions now. And Zoroark does get the double colorless energy attached to it. Riot is beating. Down goes Zorua. Jimmy Pendarvis deals first blood here in game 2.
Yeah, it's a very nice opening for him. He's holding onto an enhanced hammer, so he's going to be ready if Tord is able to have any bit of retaliation.
Now, that is an open spot on the bench here for Tord, and right away he takes advantage of it, playing a Tapu Lele, wonder tagging. Looks like he's eyeing up a Sycamore.
He has a few cards that he can play in his hand. He has cards like Field Blower, just remove that Parallel City if he wants to. But Sycamore seemed like a pretty solid play for him. Gives him the most odds to draw into those Zoroarks and start to match what Jimmy was able to produce on that second turn.
Yep, does find Sycamore with that Tapu Lele. How many Zoroarks can he get into play, though? Looks like he can get 1 in before he plays that Sycamore. First, though, counter catcher, bringing up Golisopod. No first impression here. Field Blower gets rid of Parallel City.
Impression for sure.
Oh, it looks like he didn't actually have Ultra Ball. It was actually a puzzle at times. So still no Zoroark in Tord's hand. And looks like he's going to be forced to Ultra Ball for a Zoroark if he wants to find one.
Yeah, Tord found no Evo Sodas, no Zoroark GXs. He's just going to have to use that Ultra Ball and hopefully chain them together off of the trade.
Yeah, hopefully he's right, because he's going to be forced to trade here with, honestly, not a very exciting hand.
Yeah, it's actually pretty relevant if Tord is able to evolve all of these Zoroarks. If Jimmy's able to target down one of these Zoruas with Guzma, Tord really doesn't get nearly as much done with only 2 Zoroarks in play.
I mean, given Tord's hand, that just seems so unlikely. He's going to have to hit just gold off of this next trade, off of this only trade so far. What does he discard here? It looks like he's benching the Oranguru, plays double colorless, and just doesn't even trade.
He's going to hold on to the cards.
Deals 100 damage onto the Golisopod.
Yep, 100 is relevant. That means that Riot is beating could attack in and hit for 120 damage if he does ever find that 5th Pokemon. So it's nice to be able to get those numbers worked out. And over on Jimmy's side, definitely going to be looking for a Guzma. Just wants to remove these Zoruas from play. If you don't have trades, it's going to be hard to win.
2 immediate trades from Jimmy. Enhance Hammer, getting rid of the double colorless energy. Does Jimmy have a Guzma here? There it is, Guzma. Bring up that Zorua. All right, Riot is beating. Down goes Zorua. Jimmy now. Can he do it?
I mean, this is definitely the way to start it. Tord is only going to have access to potentially 2 trades. Oh, 2 trades.
Exactly, 2 trades.
And he's got that N. The N means that he won't be able to target down that Golisopod this turn, but he could probably get some fairly relevant damage onto the Zoroark that Jimmy's been attacking with throughout this game so far. It's going to be pretty important that Tord starts to find cards like Enhanced Hammer. Just needs to make Jimmy work a little extra harder to find cards like Double Colorless Energy, make him discard resources through trade so that you can get him into that same spot you did in game 1.
6-card hand for Tord now, 4 for Jimmy.
Enhanced Hammer Double Puzzle is pretty good.
About on par.
I'm sure he's okay with it.
Double Puzzle, it seems like those cards are just very, very attached to Tord. All right, Wonder Tag here from from Tord.
Yeah, he also has Acerola in his hand, so if Jimmy just attacks into Zoroark, he can always just pick it back up. It's the least favorite option that he has to heal. It means that he would have to play down Zorua again, and then Zorua is pretty vulnerable to just being knocked out by a Guzma. So maybe he's going to choose to discard that option and focus on those max potions instead.
Tord trading. Gets rid of Guzma. Trade number 2. Gets rid of Ultra Ball, draws 2 more cards.
Does have that enhanced hammer, does have double colorless energy as well. Gonna hit for that relevant 100 damage that he's always trying to hit for. It leaves that opportunity for 120 to sneak in later and knock out these Pokemon.
100 damage onto that Zoroark, and now that Zoroark is in imminent danger here. There's so much damage onto the Jimmy side of the field, but still no knockouts from Tord. And Jimmy immediately just plays an end here. There's no damage on Tord's field, so there's no knockout available to Jimmy, but you have to believe that Jimmy's just looking for more ways to kind of disrupt Tord while gaining some aggression on his own. Maybe a max potion here. He does play 1.
Yep, that's the one card that I could think of in that scenario for him. He has 2 trades available as well.
So 1 trade gone, 1 to go. Could potentially get a 3rd trade down if he finds a 3rd Zoroark.
I think he does have the other Zoroark in his hand as well. Has a grass energy, but don't really want to start working with that Golisopod. It's got too much damage on it.
There's that 3rd Zoroark.
Max potion.
That lone max potion in his deck. Devoting that resource to the Golisopod as it's going to be his attacker of choice, seeing as how it's the energy that he's got available to him. 120 damage onto the Zoroark. Well, trade number 1.
Tord is probably just going to try to look for double colorless energy, and immediately he's able to find that. He's holding on to what looks like a max potion in his hand as well. So he can negate this damage and attack for 100 if he wants to. Looks like 120 is going to be more his style.
3rd Tapu Lele.
Oh, look
hits
at
the
that.
field.
Team Flare Grunt. That is a huge
geez.
way to disrupt Jimmy. He can remove that grass energy from the field. He can remove the damage counters from the Zoroark and attack in for 120 damage. That's a pretty devastating turn.
That's the strategy, right?
Yeah.
Rid Jimmy of any type of energy that he's got available to him.
Look at
Double
this.
colorless onto that Oranguru. It's resource management time, but not before you play a max potion Tord.
Yep, he thinks that this is going to be his best turn to start using resource management. Jimmy's in a very awkward spot. He would need Guzma and a grass energy, or Guzma and a double colorless to get relevant damage onto the board. And he already sees the float stone down on the Zoroark, so probably not going to have access to that for Golisopod. Pretty nice call here from Tord. Also down in prizes, so counter catcher is going to help him out too.
Yeah, the first thing first was finding that puzzle at time. You know that's his game plan.
Yep.
But beyond that, of course, counter catcher seems to be a very potentially relevant card for Tord, so he wants to have access to it. And of course, double colorless energy can't never go wrong with bringing more double colorless energies back into your deck. Jimmy now starting his turn, no energy in play, very low hand size.
Had to discard a double colorless energy with trade. Yeah, he's holding on to double puzzle. He looks like he's going to have to fire off here.
All right, double puzzle at time. Remember, these resources are so important to him. What's he going to be finding with this double puzzle at time? Looks like it's going to be Zoro with the double colorless.
Yep, Jimmy does have that flow stone, so he's going to be able to knock out this Oranguru. Nice play from Jimmy here. Means
Down to
that
3 prizes.
it's going to be a little more difficult for Tord to lock in that resource management style of disruption he loves to go with.
All right, first trade of the turn here for Tord.
Does have Mallow. This is a turn where he could actually get some use out of that card. He doesn't really want to do anything too wild here.
This feels like a really close game to me, Kyle.
Yeah, this is definitely Jimmy's style if he wanted to. He's taken a few prizes. The problem is I just don't see how the other prizes come together unless Tord starts to draw pretty poorly. And there is potential for that, of course. Tord does only have 2 trades available. And anytime that a Zorua comes into play, you'd have to expect Jimmy to knock that out.
That's right. Mallow, the supporter of the turn here for Tord.
He's got 1 puzzle in hand, so he's going to go for the second puzzle. And he could go counter catcher, knock out that Zoroark with 100 damage on it. That would, he'd still be down in prizes, so counter catcher would be available to him in future turns as well. And he could remove a little bit of the reach that Jimmy has with all the trades right now.
Trade number 2, bringing the cards Mallow put on top of the deck into his hand.
Gonna
Parallel
start
City.
with the parallel.
Well, first choice, very easy. Second choice, just almost as easy.
Got the
Tord
enhanced hammer.
getting rid of that double color synergy. Enhanced hammer just so brutal against these aggressive decks that rely on double color synergy so much.
It's monkey time.
Double puzzle at time. Sure enough, Oranguru, Lodestone retreats the Zoroark, resource management. Maybe I spoke too soon when I said it felt close. I mean, if I should stay, it feels as close as Jimmy's going to get
Yeah.
in
no,
this type of a board. With that said, of course, how? How does he pull off the victory from here?
I think this is actually the most important turn of the game. This Oranguru being on the field, if Jimmy's able to remove it from the play, he gets down to 2 prize cards. And then he just needs to find a way to stick energies onto his Golisopod. And if he can work out the Crossing Cut GX onto a Tapu Lele, that's his last 2 prize cards. And that's just been the one thing that he really has struggled with. He hasn't found a way to take a big one-hit knockout on a Pokemon GX.
Jimmy's been forced to discard these counter catchers, which are just obviously useless in his hand right now.
Yeah, he just
And
doesn't
all he
have
can do is
the
deal 80
resources.
damage. Yeah, that's just, you said it was the most important turn, and you weren't kidding. At this point, Tord can close the game out if he continues to employ his strategy. Having an extra turn of Oranguru here is just so crucial for him.
Yep,
Enhanced hammer, that's exactly what he wanted to see. Jimmy's got to be running really low on double color synergies, if not out of him.
Yeah, I think I saw at least 3. Acerola, so the Oranguru gets played right back down into play, and he can just resource management, pull puzzles, and
Bit of a smirk from Jimmy. He knows,
yeah,
knows it's a rough spot.
it's hard.
Counter catcher on top of things.
Yep,
Let's
this
bring up
means
let's bring up that Golisopod, which is the only real threatening Pokemon.
no first impression available for Jimmy. Counter catcher Acerola, Enhanced Hammer.
When you don't have puzzle time in your discard pile, you can start going after these other things.
Okay, yeah,
colorless.
I don't mind going for the double colorless here. Just can continue on if Jimmy were to able to find an Enhanced Hammer.
All right away, first trade. Gets rid of that Ultra Ball. Clearly not what he wants in his hand right now. Jimmy, pretty low on resources, both in his deck and in his hand. Rainbow Energy gets discarded. Of course, it would have been great before, but not so much anymore with the Golisopod being the active Pokemon to start the turn off. Third Zoroark now in play. He can choose to trade again, but you see why this just looks like such a rough matchup here for Jimmy.
Yeah, I think Jimmy would like to stick a Grass Energy to his Golisopod. Of course, that means that he can't be in the active spot because then Team Playground could remove that Grass Energy. So we
take
could
a look
see
at
him
Jimmy's deck.
he
For
could
the-
just attach it and retreat.
Yeah, for the first time in a while, we got to take a look at Jimmy's deck, and we see how thin it really is. Bridget, of course, thinning the deck out a little bit more because it's being traded away by Zoroark. Double color synergy. He does find another double color synergy, potentially the last one. And because that field blower did get rid of that Parallel City, we do see a knockout on Oranguru, but may have been one turn too late. This may be the last of Jimmy's hope when it comes to energies and aggression.
Yep, Tord's probably just going to play out this hand and use the Cynthia that he has, followed by 2 trades. If he's able to find Enhanced Hammer, we might not see Jimmy get any big attacks off in this game.
See, Tord is starting to feel that as he personally brings out that wind pod into that active position. You know that adrenaline's got to be rushing through him. He feels like he can potentially close the game out right now.
Has 4 cards left, so any card he wants to see, he could see with trades available. Of course, have to be a little more careful.
He has double puzzle of time in his hand. Finds 2 additional cards. He knows exactly what's left in his deck, I believe.
Yep. He could even just go and grab the other 2 cards and then fill his deck with the rescue stretcher that he has.
That enhance hammer is so important here. Potentially all 4 double colorless energies in Jimmy's discard pile already.
Yep. Wisely passing the turn here, not going to knock out the wind pod. Just put that on Jimmy to find a way to retreat.
Yeah, at this point, he's just trying to lock Jimmy out.
Is that how many cards? 3, 4? No, it's a little more. He's got maybe 5 or 6 there.
Yeah, it looks like there's like 3 cards left in the deck, potentially 4 now. I mean, we have no energy in play here for Jimmy. Of course, he can't knock out anything on towards field. Plays a grass energy onto the Golisopod, which is threatening to potentially knock out any Pokemon in towards field if he gets a combination of cards, including double colorless energy, field blower, and say choice band.
So counter catcher and flare grunt will be able to handle this. This was really the only way I saw Jimmy being able to come back in this game, is if he's able to set up the double puzzle, crossing cut Guzma choice band onto the Lele. Instead, Tord immediately is going to sniff that out, find his Oranguru, and I don't know if Jimmy has the resources anymore. He kind of just needed a few more turns to get this going.
Indeed.
Actually, Tord has, I think Tord just barely is okay against an N right now. He has 6 prize cards remaining, 3 in hand, 1 card in his deck. So this resource management
4 cards in deck
had to happen.
Yeah.
He was exactly 1 card away from actually just being decked out from an N.
Yep, he is going to be at a 7 card total between his deck and his hand now, though, which will put him safe from an end for now.
He's well aware of this, goes and finds the rescue stretcher. So good eye on Tord to make sure that he doesn't lose to any shenanigans.
Seems like there's like a 3-card deck here for Jimmy Pendarvis. This could be the final turn of the game. Clearly he's out of resources, or at least potentially out of resources. So close yet so far away.
He's got 2 prizes left.
Right? It's just a fingertip away.
Just take them.
But, I mean, Tord just playing masterfully, taking away any type of opportunity here from Jimmy, but double puzzle of time. This is the last hurrah. Double colorless. The last hurrah, Kyle. Can he pull it off with this double puzzle of time?
I was actually thinking of other ways that he could come back in this. If he actually had a bench space, he has Mew. He could copy resource management.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
Maybe he should find a bench space. 1
Tell him.
prize.
All right, down to 1 prize. No more resource management available to Tord. It's just too dangerous. 3 cards left in his deck.
He's got access to
Trade. Down to 1 card in his deck. 4 puzzle at times, though.
good old Tord.
All right.
All right, so if he uses double puzzle, finds Oranguru.
I suspect maybe like a rescue stretcher.
Yeah, I think he actually needs a high amount of cards to survive an N. I don't know if Jimmy has it available. 1, 2, 3 Ns. Does Jimmy have 4?
Looks like Jimmy has
Jimmy's got 3.
3 N.
All right, so Jimmy is out of Ns. So I think that goes out the window as well.
Yeah, all the puzzles are gone here for Jimmy too. But not for Tord.
Tord never runs out. That's just the way this deck works.
A masterpiece of a deck.
It is terrifying, though, to play down the Oranguru when you know that your opponent has just 1 prize card left. You want to make sure that when you do this perfectly.
Yeah, I think that's a very dangerous play. I don't know how much he feels like he needs to do it.
Well, if this is the last double colorless energy, he could feel pretty good about it. The only real attacker left would be Golisopod, and I don't see a way it gets into the active spot.
Of course, there is a time limit, so I'm sure the judges are letting Tord know about this. 2 trades down.
All right, so it looks like he's eyeing up Guzma and Oranguru.
Oh man, rescue stretcher in hand for Tord. Double puzzle at time. Okay. Goes for the Oranguru Guzma play. Does Jimmy have any resources available to him?
He's got a Wimpod.
All right, Jimmy's Wimpod, the active Pokemon now. Rescue Stretcher, of course, stretching in 3 Pokemon into the deck, shuffling them back in.
He does not care which ones they are either. He's just going to take anything that that fills his deck, and then a lot of puzzles.
Of course, triple puzzle.
All right, Jimmy,
All right.
if he has a way to retreat, Floatstone would win the game. I think that Tord has counted it out and knows the official counts here.
The time is now. You're Jimmy, and you have access to, well, Floatstone / Grass Energy, for example. Or no, just Floatstone.
Jimmy's just looking through. If he is going to go into his deck, he has that opportunity. Could just trade away, go in, deck himself, and find the cards if they're there. I think we already saw a Floatstone, so the second Floatstone's not an option for him. That Wimpod has a huge retreat cost.
If he had found, I mean, granted, he could have very easily been Enhanced Hammer, but if he had found double colorless and, say, Floatstone from the double puzzle at time, he would not be in this situation. But, I mean, then at that point, you just run the risk of just being Enhanced Hammer out of the game.
Yeah. So Guzma is a way to get out of the active spot. Unfortunately, that means you don't get to knock out Oranguru this turn. Probably going to have to target down one of the Tapu Lele.
Yeah, it's got to be a Lele.
Actually, it's fine to go after the Zoroark here. If Tord decides to go with Acerola to pick himself up, that means that he has less access to Zoroark.
Yeah, that's fair. Tord can also go aggressive with a Zoroark if need be, but of course that's just not going to happen given this board state.
Jimmy never wants his Wimpod to go active again, so he's just going to clear off that opportunity.
Limiting his own bench damage, though.
That's
Or
true.
limiting his own damage from his bench, but because of that choice ban, deals 110. He sees an opening. Tord. All right, 1 trade, 2 trades.
Should find double puzzle here.
Double puzzle. Does that run Jimmy out of all the resources he has available?
If Tord decides to Acerola and Enhanced Hammer, I feel like there's just no way for Jimmy to get out of this spot. Jimmy should be officially out of energies at this point. Maybe just a Grass, but Grass isn't going to do too much here.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy's deck is so thin now. Of course, he's playing it out to the bitter end, but
You have to, yeah.
yeah. Double puzzle. Finding Enhanced Hammer. And of course, Acerola as well. Now, yeah, you might not even play the Zoro anymore because then you give your opponent a
Oh yeah,
another Guzma.
I'm not going there.
Yeah.
And yeah, Tord, he's got 4 cards left in deck, and it could be an infinite amount of numbers now.
4 cards in hand.
Jimmy has double colorless energy left, actually.
Yeah, he brought 2 back with his puzzle at time.
Gotcha,
He still had
okay.
1 available.
Yep.
So, I mean, if he hadn't limited his own bench space,
He's just going to draw that last card.
this could be the final turn of the game, and it is the final turn of the game. Jimmy Pendarvis scoops up his cards. Tord Reklev wins the match 2 games.